go. All right, day one of this cool experiment. Let's see how this goes. It is approximately 7:30 in the morning. I believe it's July 10th. I don't know, let me look. So it is July 10th, and it's the first day of my morning walk. A little experiment I'm running where I'm going to be walking in the morning just to see a little bit more of my neighborhood, feel more awake, get some blood pumping, but also just to have some practice with this, talking to a camera. It's something I was pretty familiar with when I was 16, 17. I ran a couple YouTube channels. That was in 2006. I had a channel that was just me and my friends pooping around making little dumb short films. There weren't a lot of subscribers on that one. It was early YouTube. I don't think it was about views and subscribers and that yet. It was just kind of cool that you had a sharing platform for something like that. After that, I had another YouTube channel. I actually carried two YouTube channels in 2008. 2008 was the year that I graduated high school, and I actually graduated in January of 2008 instead of the May-June area that everyone else in the class did, because I had been accepted to the school I wanted to go to. I had all the credits and credentials I needed, and I was just ready to go. So I went into a accelerated program, finished everything in 4 weeks, and was out of that place in January, but didn't ship off to school until August or September. So I ended up having a long time there, like 6-7 months of nothing to do. Early to mid 2008 was the year that I had two YouTube channels running pretty simultaneously in two different communities that I ended up really enjoying my time there. I had one that was more personal vlog style stuff, and another that was all movie based. In 2008, I think, was the rise of the vlog. That's like the jump cutty, just talking to the camera vlogs. My personal one, I think, garnered just over 100 subscribers. It wasn't super popular, but I had a small group of YouTubers that I was friends with, community that we all interacted together, collabed together, made a few videos together. I actually ended up being involved in a small project called the Mystery Channel. That was some of the most fun I've ever had on YouTube as a creator. It was an interesting experiment that involved probably 3 or 4 dozen creators at that point, and it all seemed to be run by one person or one group of people, and no one really knew what was going on, what was happening with it, the storyline of it, but it had a lot of people involved, and that was exciting. It was exciting to feel as equal a part of something as YouTubers that were bigger on the platform at that point. And it's weird because I was actually part of like a secondary team on that project that was given the keys to the castle for a week and got to create and upload all the videos on the channel for a week and kind of dictate where the story went. I still remember a lot of the people that I worked with on that team, but one was Strawberry17, and it's crazy to see how successful she got from there just by working really hard. And it's something that I wish I could say about myself, something that I could say about my career on YouTube, but I kind of ran away from it every opportunity I was given. I still am obsessed with traditional media because I was fascinated with people in the entertainment industry across pretty much all mediums. I was also interested in the legacy of it and how many of them came from certain paths or certain origins. I mean, because around that age, when you're 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, when you're really trying to find yourself, I felt like I had to emulate the path, or that the goal of other people's paths were just automatically where I would wind up, or would be my starting point. And that turned out to be not really the best thing. I pretty much thought that I would have to start where everyone wound up, or to write a movie, I would be asked and paid before, you know, I wrote a movie. That's not to say that I didn't work on anything myself, which I did. I just always saw that as something that kept the spark alive when it would start to dim. I never looked at it as building a skill and getting better and developing a set of skills or a strategy in which to create your own path, create your own career. And one of the things I noticed in the last few years that's made me really happy is to see how much content on YouTube, how many videos on YouTube, how many creators on YouTube have content that feels like mainstream content. It feels viable. It feels like something more important than what used to be considered just a YouTube video. There are shows on YouTube that are weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, that I get really excited for. In the last few years, it has legitimized the thought that I always had in the back of my head, but I wasn't ever willing to pursue. In the back of my head, I always knew that YouTube and online videos and the internet would be the future of the entertainment that I loved so much. I mean, you know, cinema's never gonna die. Quality produced television's never gonna die, you know, but the internet has created its own medium, its own future, and has been able to blend seamlessly with the others. You have movies that can get exclusively released on streaming platforms. You have streaming platforms creating original programming, and you're starting to see a big blend between the two. And seeing and admiring the careers of creators that I had been watching early on in their career, seeing them blossom and bloom into some bigger and better things, or even just better versions of what they're doing, was impressive. One of the things that's it's weird and kind of funny for me to look back on is that I did a video about life changes. Well, I didn't make the video. I was participated in a collab video made by a guy named Zachary Binks. He had a couple dozen people send in a video of themselves explaining something big in their life that was changing or about to change, or something they were scared to change. I submitted my testimonial, and the video's still up. And I checked it out not too recently, having not seen it in what felt like a decade, and realized that in my early days on YouTube, I collabed with people who have millions of subscribers now. One of the people in that video was Tyler Oakley, who's created an entire career that spans beyond his YouTube channel, that spans beyond the medium of online video. The guy just it felt like he just kept saying yes, and he worked really hard. And I think that's been my biggest problem for a while now, is that when I left for film school in 2008, I was incredibly embarrassed by my work on YouTube. I felt as if going to film school was going to be walking into a room of professionals that would immediately judge me for trying, for creating, for doing anything. The new medium of online video wasn't how I got into making videos, making movies. It was part of it. I was afraid that learning was a problem. I was afraid that harnessing your skills, that learning how to create was a problem. I don't think I've ever put it that way before. I was embarrassed because my stuff didn't look like what got me into filmmaking, and I assumed that I had scammed my way into film school and that everyone else would be leaps and bounds beyond where I was. What didn't help was realizing that everyone expresses their vision differently. And some people, whether it be through dedication or whether it be through the amount of time they put into it. I mean, I was comparing myself to people who were 10, 15 years older than me, had the money to buy better equipment than I could at the time, and had dedicated themselves to learning the craft and learning how to use that equipment. And I'd compare myself to the work that they had done, that they'd walked into film school with, and say, they know what they're doing already, and you don't. And I hated that. I hated that feeling. I hated not feeling like I knew what I was doing. So instead of taking school as an opportunity to learn what you were doing, I split down two paths most of my time. I either closed myself off and shut down completely, just convincing myself that I wasn't good enough and I didn't know what I was doing, or I faked it. I talked a big game, and in moments where I had to prove it, I worked my ass off. And I have a few things in school to show for it. A few things that to this day don't look like professional productions, but are things that I'm incredibly proud of, because it was when I was working hard. But that wasn't the majority of my time, and I regret that. I gave in to the worst feeling. I gave in to the feeling that said, you're not good enough, don't try. And I did that way too often, way too much. And so, I told you about that YouTube channel I ran that, well, this is gonna be tough, the sun's gonna be behind me. I told you about that YouTube channel that I ran that was based on movies. At the time it was called DVD Bargain Man. And it was one of the things that I was incredibly embarrassed by. And that channel at the time, if I remember correctly, had just over 2,000 subscribers. In 2008, I had just gotten into the, at that point, exclusive YouTube partnership program. And I was actually getting small AdSense checks. And it was exciting. And ironically enough, had I not gone to film school, I probably would have kept going with that and maybe had something more solid to show for it. But I do also have to tell myself often, is that what you wanted? Did you want to make YouTube videos about home video releases for the rest of your life? Maybe. What's up, trash truck? I had a good following, I was making money, and I was growing. I was making videos on movie reviews, on collection updates for my DVDs. I was posting videos on Sunday, scanning in advertisements from the Sunday newspaper to tell people what movies were on sale and where. And I had people who were commenting, telling me how they were inspired by my videos. I had people who were creating similar videos because of me. Like, I felt like an influencer in a weird way. And it was really cool to have a community of people to interact with on the thing that I loved. I think that was probably the height of me liking movies in a weird way, because I've always loved movies. That passion still burns bright, but that was when I felt a part of something, a part of the movies, even though I wasn't working in them, I wasn't making them, I was just talking about them, but I was talking about them with people who liked them in a similar way that I did, I guess. And that was always fun to just have a group of people to talk to about it. Anyway, but once I got to Vancouver to go to school, I thought, like I said, I thought that I was walking into a group of professionals that would instantly judge me for not being able to make Saving Private Ryan all by myself. And I deleted everything, including the account. In pursuit of a dream I didn't understand, I tripped over and swept under the rug, ripped up, threw away, really, my first step. And I think I've regretted it ever since. Anyway, that was my first morning walk. Kind of an open little testimonial there. Probably shared more than I thought I would. I think one of the things I gotta work on is talking to the camera, talking to you guys, not just rambling off. Diary style. Hi, car. And I gotta look at the camera more, I think, because I definitely was looking ahead where I'm going. In all fairness, I was walking, but it already feels a little more natural. Don't get me wrong, I also paused and stopped when people walked by. I don't think I'm quite there yet, but we'll get there. All right, see you guys tomorrow.